Crimson Desert finally launches in a month's time, and this could possibly be one of the largest gaming releases of the entirety of 2026. We have seen a ton of new gameplay, a lot of different developer interviews, and even some great press releases detailing what we can expect, and just somehow these promises seem way too good to be true. I reckon we might all be proven wrong though, and this could be one of the best RPGs in over a decade. So today I wanted to cover the 10 things that you need to know about Crimson Desert before it launches. So with that, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation, and let's just dive right into it. It is pretty apparent from what we've seen from Crimson Desert that it doesn't just want you moving from quest marker to quest marker, and this has been emphasized time and time again by the development team. This means the world itself is feeling designed to pull your attention in from different directions. You'll be climbing mountains, gliding across massive stretches of land, and then just stumbling into locations that don't immediately explain themselves. From what we've seen so far, the forests feel very dense and layered, the deserts will feel very vast and dangerous, and verticality will play a huge role in how you move about that environment. Some of the most striking moments shown so far are from simply exploring, as you could potentially come across some strange creatures hidden in hard to reach places, or even distant landmarks begging just to be investigated. It gives off this sort of impression that discovery is meant to feel organic and not forced, and that curiosity is meant to be rewarded as well. Just how they make this world feel totally lived in is my ultimate question, as vast worlds like this can sometimes be more barren with nothing really to do. I still have high hopes, especially with what the devs are saying, but that moves on to the next points. While Kliff is clearly the main character of the entire game and one that we'll have to see time and time again, he's not actually the only one you'll be able to control. As the story progresses, you'll gain access to other members of what are called the Greymanes, each of them with their own weapons, abilities, and combat identities. One leans heavier into speed and range pressure, weaving through fights with agility, while another will focus on heavier weapons and of course crowd control tools. These aren't just short one-off sequences either, as once you've unlocked them, these characters can be used freely across the entire world, and that gives you total freedom to approach combat and exploration in some very unique ways. I like this added variety as it means some very long play sessions will no longer be stale, and it really opens up what you can do, especially in a massive open world setting where flexibility can really make a huge difference. Surprisingly, and what we've heard recently, is that the story isn't just going to be about saving the world like most RPGs within the same space, and instead Pearl Abyss seems to be making one about rebuilding something that was broken. As I mentioned, you will be part of what are called the Greymanes. These are a mercenary group that have been torn apart by loss, leadership collapse, and just outside forces exploiting their weakness. Kliff's journey will then center on finding his scattered Greymanes and then bring them back together. Of course, things are never quite as simple, as Kliff quickly discovers a darker threat to the entire continent. A new threat arises from the Abyss, which is a mysterious realm whose unbalance is sending mysterious fragments into Pyrewall that are then being used to push the world into utter chaos. Of course, Kliff will not only have to save the Greymanes, but also find a way to restore balance to the entire Abyss. Talking very briefly on that Abyss though, this is a hovering mysterious realm suspended in the sky, and it's going to be overflowing with a ton of dangerous powers. The devs have explicitly said that this is the kind of force that attracts the worst kind of people, and then multiple factions are then actively trying to claim it for themselves. From the likes of shadowy assassins, secretive groups, and just power-hungry forces, they'll all orbit this place, making it a constant source of tension throughout the entire story. The Abyss isn't just there to look cool either, as it will actively shape the conflict unfolding across the land, and they'll have different consequences based on decisions and so much more. That also means that its influence leaks into the world below, escalating threats and raising the stakes as the story progresses. It feels less like a distant mystery and more like an inevitable disaster just waiting to happen, and it's a really awesome aspect that still many of us don't know about. I have mentioned that the map is going to be huge, but despite its massive scale, the world is clearly divided into 5 main regions, each of them with their own distinct tone and purpose. They are the likes of Peloon, Hernand, Demonis, Delecia, and the Crimson Deserts. I just really hope they make them very entertaining and not bland. As I mentioned, there's been games in the past where they really haven't been good because of the scale of the overall region. Each region though will focus on its own stories, challenges and factions, and so much more for us to engage at any time and in any order as well. With it being a massive world though, that means it has a need for lots of ways to get around and to also explore it. Thankfully, the Crimson Desert team offers a lot of ways for us to get around the world, so early on players will be able to get around on stuff like horseback, climb terrain, or just gliding across distances, but as you progress you'll be able to get enhanced traversal options, including a fire-breathing dragon or even a mech. All of these options though will help you explore that world that's begging to be explored with loads of hidden treasures. Stuff like ancient ruins, puzzles, and even dazzling points of interest are all going to be there. You just have to ultimately go and find them, and that's going to be a real joy to do so if they can nail that aspect. As you move throughout the world though, you'll be constantly running into rival different factions, each with their own agendas. Some of them will of course be willing to work with you, others will see Kliff as a problem though that needs to be removed. Following the main story will naturally sort of pull you into those conflicts, often leading to large scale battles, fortress assaults and full on sieges. At this time there's also going to be moments where you're going to be sent in alone, acting as a sort of one person solution to much bigger problems. That balance between large battles though and these solo infiltration missions will keep things fresh and then reinforces the idea that Kliff is both a mercenary and a catalyst for change in a much larger war. Upon stumbling on those hostile forces though, and when you do clear them from an area, the impact will go beyond a cleared icon within the map, like we see in these sort of Ubisoft style open worlds. The liberated zones begin to recover over time, with NPCs returning, buildings will then be repaired as well, vendors open up, and the area slowly comes back to life. You'll also earn contributions that feed into rebuilding efforts tied directly to the story, particularly when it comes to restoring key regions connected to the Greymanes. It creates a very sort of strong sense of cause and effect, making your actions feel meaningful instead of the world staying static as it evolves over time with what you've done, reinforcing the idea that your presence actually matters. I know it may not be everyone's cup of tea, but even with all the wars and the supernatural threats, Crimson Desert will actually slow things down from time to time, and you can really soak in the atmosphere if you choose to do so. Between the major story beats, you'll find tasks that feel intentionally simple as well, from escorting the likes of wagons, or if you just want helping the locals or tending to their everyday problems. These moments will help to ground the world and really give it a contrast to the large-scale chaos, and they also make the stakes feel even more real. That helps the overall world design. It's great to see that you can ultimately protect the people you've interacted with along the way, and that pacing choice really helps the game breathe and prevents the constant escalation from becoming too exhausting. One of the most interesting systems which I found out myself though is going to be revolving around the knowledge itself within the world. You'll be able to simply observe the world, so you can watch NPCs work, study different environments, or even spend time in a different region can unlock new abilities and even insights. In some cases, it's apparent that learning a skill is as simple as seeing it being done. That also extends into the social interactions as well, where dialogue options suggest you can intimidate, pressure, or just manipulate others to gain personal information. It kind of keeps a deeper role-playing mechanic beneath that surface, and does suggest that understanding the world maybe is just as powerful as mastering the combat and also the dialogue options. It's a very subtle system, but one that could end up defining how players approach the entirety of Crimson Desert. Circling back though, and if we dive a little bit more into the abyss, there's also going to be fragments which will rain down across the entire world map, and they do create opportunities for exploration that aren't always marked clearly and are very reminiscent of something like Tears of the Kingdom. Finding them often requires environmental awareness rather than following obvious waypoints, and you'll have to use the light from your sword to navigate to them. Beyond the gameplay, the abyss fragments will also feed into the overarching story, acting as reminders that the abyss is slowly bleeding into the world below. It's a very smart way to actually tie in that exploration, progression and narrative together, and if they can nail it, it's actually a very, very great storytelling element. There are also going to be artifacts which you will be able to locate through the world as well. These will obviously have some information about them, but they will act as a form of progression, ultimately unlocking your new abilities or improving existing ones. Some of them will be sealed, hinting at deeper mechanics and stronger rewards for players just willing to explore dangerous or hidden areas off the beaten path. I have to say, I've only touched the surface on these points today, and I totally suspect we'll learn even more over the next 30 days prior to its launch. What are you excited for about Crimson Desert though? Are you going to be grabbing it day one, and what are your thoughts about it? I would be keen to hear your thoughts on it down below, and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video.